holidays to you. Today is Christmas Eve. Today is the 24th day of the Flavier Advent Whiskey Calendar. Really appreciate all of you that have been along with us for the ride so far. Doing 24 of these in 24 days has been a lot. Mike and I do not plan this at all, and we got this box literally on the 1st of December. So there's been a few batch recordings. Obviously, if you've seen this purple shirt for like 6 reviews now, that is why. But truly appreciate all of you that have tuned in. This has been a really fun process. And over the next little bit, we will release kind of our overall thoughts on this Flavier calendar. It has been a fun ride. Day 24, Christmas Eve, I am praying that this is a peated scotch. If this is a peated scotch Flavier, you can mark me down next year for sure. This is not a peated scotch, and if this is another Kentucky whiskey, I am burning everything into the ground. And I will never do another whiskey review again. Just kidding. But this has been fun. So we will see what today is. 24, though. This is the last Advent whiskey calendar. I would assume I'm spilling it, so that's super cool. Good omens for today's review. But I would assume if I was a betting man, this is going to be a good product. Because if I was Flavier and I'm trying to get people to sign up for next year, I would try to end on a good note. Ending on Heaven's Door, which we did yesterday, which was $34.99, probably not the impression you want to end people on. That's just my thoughts. So we will see how this goes. I have high hopes. Let's see if I am Brandon Urie and I have high hopes for a living. That was super cheesy. I apologize. Coming off the bat, I'm not sure what I think of it. Could be scotch. Pretty light. We will see. Smell the hand. Don't know what that smells like. Maybe because I didn't wash my hands today. This is light. This is making me think it's not American, so I am excited. I'm not smelling peat that is evaporating from the table, so I'm slightly sad, but we will see once I stick my nose inside this glass what this is. All right. Cheers. Happy holidays. Not scotch. Could be scotch, but not scotch. This... This almost smells like a perfumed strawberry. Like an overripe strawberry. Some very, very, very overripe fruit. Almost like perfumey that it's starting to mold, and it just... Maybe a little pineapple in there too, like random tropical fruits. I am thrown through a loop. I will say the last time that I tasted perfumed strawberry, it was Bren French whiskey, and the French don't do anything right except for baguettes and croissants. So, not super excited about that. If this is French whiskey, I'm turning this off. There's some pear in there too. This is very honey, very sweet. I think this is probably a single malt from somewhere, but a little nutmeg. This smells Christmassy. Almost like a cranberry too. This smells like this is going to be like a very good cocktail whiskey just because of all of the flavors that you could potentially introduce in a cocktail. Normally I say that when a whiskey sucks because like that's the only good compliment that you can give a whiskey when it's not good is like it'll make a good mixer. Basically saying, you know what would be a good place for this to be? Mixed in with other things so you can't really taste it. But I feel like this one in particular would lend itself good in a cocktail so far because of the flavors that you can easily pair with. That way you can make your cocktail more elevated and complement the whiskey rather than it trying to mask all the flavors of the whiskey. But yeah, man, this smells like pineapple. This smells like fermented strawberries, like the perfumed strawberries. Maybe some raspberries, blackberries, but like to the point where they're ripe, where they're almost too ripe and you can't even do anything with them anymore. Cranberry juice, like this smells very, very sweet. I'm honestly kind of nervous. All right, initial taste. You're getting a little maltiness. This is definitely a single malt. But you're getting that maltiness and then immediate fruit. You're not really, like all that fruit that I mentioned in the nose. You're not getting any characteristic that would make me think this is Scottish or Irish whiskey. A little again like that hydrogen peroxide rubbing alcohol type note too, a little bit there. I think this might be Japanese or Chinese or something, but probably a single malt or some sort of combination of malted and unmalted barley, because you're getting really like a malty taste to it, which makes me think this is probably a malted barley product mostly. But then it's all those fruits. And I'm not getting that typical triple distilled, pot still type note that I associate with Irish whiskey that's like a smooth, well-rounded, creamy product. I'm not getting sea salt that I normally traditionally get with Scotch or any type of phenolic note that you would associate with any sort of like sulfury note that I get from Scotland too, or that medicinal or iodine. This is true fruit. I think this is probably a product that's absolutely out there. I would not be surprised if it's Japan. I would not be surprised if they came in and they're like, you know what, we're going to throw a complete curveball in here and give you Switzerland. I have no idea. I can almost guarantee, this is really going to set myself up for failure, but I can almost guarantee this is from a country that I do not drink a lot of, which is limited to like Japan and everything outside of Ireland, Scotland. It's not Indian. Could be Korean, but it's not Canadian. It's not American. I have no idea what this is. Honestly, for nose, I'm going to go maybe... I liked the nose. It was a little too sweet, but I liked the nose. I'm going to go C++ on the nose. Initial taste, I'm going to go C. Ending note, I'm going to go D+. It lacks a lot of full body. It's very weak, which again, I would associate more with the Japanese or Irish whiskey, but I'm not going Irish whiskey in this situation because I'm just not getting those same type of Irish whiskey notes that I generally get. I think this is probably Japanese or something Eastern Hemisphere, right? Eastern Hemisphere? Yeah. Yeah. Final rating, 69. Hell yeah, what's up, Reed? Reed Ferguson, long snapper, Buffalo Bills. I was saying, I mean, let's wait until I actually look to see what this is, but I was saying if I was Flavier, I would end on a good note. Kentucky whiskey that is very cheap and affordable, Heaven's Door, and then this one, I'm not sure Flavier did it. All right, anyway, let's take a look at what this is. Last one. That's why it's not whiskey. Dude, this is... Talk me through this. I'm going to go off on a tangent really quick. This is honestly aggravating. So, if you are a company that is selling an Advent whiskey calendar, wouldn't you want the last impression that people have to be a solid, impressive whiskey that might even be more on the expensive side? That way, when people read it for the last day on Christmas Eve, they scan it, they say, oh my God, Flavier just sent me a peated Scotch from Scotland that is valued at $120 or $99 or something like that. There's been product in here that has been on the upper end of the pricing spectrum. They sent us, as our last review, Martingale Rare Reserve Cognac. Now, tell me why they would do, like, is it bad? You can be the judge of that. But you're buying a whiskey calendar, and this wasn't cheap. Why would you end on a cognac? Like, I could even see adding in a cognac at day 13, because then you have the rest of the time to wash your palate of this nonsense. But if you bought a whiskey calendar, why are you ending? My last impression of this is cognac? That honestly just, like, not to sound too reactive here, but that might have just convinced me to... I was hell-bent on telling you guys that I'm definitely going to do this next year. I don't know anymore. This is a disgrace. I'm honestly very upset with this. This is Martingale Rare Reserve Cognac from the Cognac region of France. So when I said that this tastes like French, and if they gave me a French Reserve whiskey and I'm never doing this again, that literally was my immediate thoughts when I smelled that, what did I say? Perfumed strawberry. That's exactly what this is, dude. I don't understand why you would do that. This was very upsetting. And again, nothing on the Martingale product. I'm not against the Martingale product. I think that it is a fine product. If I knew this was cognac, maybe it would be a little bit different. But again, I bought a whiskey calendar, so I was gauging this based off of whiskey notes, and I didn't taste any whiskey notes. All I tasted was fresh fermented fruit, which again isn't bad if you're reviewing cognac, but I'm not reviewing cognac. I'm reviewing whiskey. This was a disgrace. A really bad way to end this. So Martingale is a rare reserve cognac, older than a VSOP, younger than an XO, crafted a new generation of drinkers, made entirely grapes to glass. So this is a grape-based product, which made sense of why we are not getting any traditional tasting notes. I said malted barley because you can kind of, your only assumption is like either malted barley or rice or something crazy from Japan, which is why I was more going on that Japan route, because I didn't taste anything other than those tropical fruits. But this was not a good way to end it. I'm just going to be 100% transparent with that. The last day of the month, I was expecting something great, and I got cognac. All right, well, anyway, thank you all for tuning in to today. You saw a human breakdown. This is why I need AA, because humans should not be this upset with the company, but here we are. But yeah, this is day 24 of the Flavier Advent whiskey calendar. Yeah, appreciate you all tuning in. Really do enjoy that I was able to do this with you every single day. It was a really cool process. Too bad the last day was spoiled, but we are here. We will see you coming soon. We are going to do some changes to our whiskey review process coming next year. I do want to introduce more blind tasting because this has been a very fun process for me and Mike to go through. But let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. If you have this calendar, are you as equally as mad as I am that you got this? It was almost like the Suits finale, where it didn't make sense why we got what we did for the last episode. Yeah! It was such a good series. It was such a good box. And they ruined it with the season finale that makes me never want to come back again. But there we are. So appreciate you all tuning in today. If you do drink this with me, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if not, we will see you in the near future when I give you my review of this whole product. Really enjoyed doing this with you. And we always recommend drink responsibly, being a person. And